대한민국 대표 음악 비즈니스 행사 뮤콘. 여러분은 뮤콘 2021 컨퍼런스를 쭉 함께하고 계십니다. 이번에는 조금 특별한 순서가 준비되어 있는데요. 빌보드 칼럼니스트 제프 벤자민이 BTS 보컬 프로듀서 제나 앤드류스와 직접 인터뷰를 진행했다고 합니다. 영상으로 만나보시죠.
Jenna Andrews here from UConn 2021. I'm so excited to talk to you in your own home. Thank you for having us.
Of course!
This is so exciting, such an honor to talk to you, and at a really exciting time. You know, your career is a lot, I think, larger than I think most people have realized. So I really want to get into it in all kinds of ways with you.
Great!
Of course, say congratulations on your biggest recent successes.
Thank you.
Your back-to-back number ones, but you know, before we get all into it, you know, of course we're coming to you guys to Seoul in UConn. Fortunately, we can't be there in Korea.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, have you been to Korea yet?
No, I'm dying to go though. I literally, everybody just raves about it. And now that I've done so much work over there, I can't wait to go.
Okay. Well, we got him. Hopefully, you know, everything will be safe for us to go over next year,
Yeah.
and we'll have you next year, of course.
Yay!
Yes. And I hope too that this is just the beginning of a even better part of a relationship for your career when it comes to Korea. This year's just been so huge for you, so big. But you know, it didn't just start this year, of course. You know, really quickly, in your own words, can you take us through some of those high points and some of those big moments of your career when you're kind of looking back into how it got to now?
Well, that is such a funny question because it's so hard to know where to start. But for me, I've been doing it my whole life. You know, as a kid, I started doing a lot of stage shows and, you know, just little things as a kid. Like I did, you know, stage shows with Sesame Street, things like that. So I've been doing it like forever. But then my first official, like, you know, shot into the actual major leagues, like you call it that, would be, I signed my first production deal when I was 18, almost 19, moved to Vancouver, and then shortly after got signed to Def Jam. And so then I was, you know, doing my artist thing, was signed there for like 6 years, and then I'm Canadian, so I only mention that because to say when I left my label, I decided that I wanted to focus more on songwriting, so I developed a group called Magic Jordan, signed to OVO, and that was an experience that I got to like executive produce and vocal produce and just be a part of it in such a big way that wasn't, you know, for me, and I was like, oh, I love this. And I think that was really when I identified that for me as a career. Do you know what I mean? Not to say, because I definitely am still once you're an artist, you're always an artist, yes. But, you know, minus the touring part. But I would say that like that experience really like catapulted this whole thing, you know? It's like sometimes you manifest things without even knowing you manifest them. So I feel like that also is a part of it. And then anyway, just wrote a bunch of stuff over the years and got more into executive production. You know, I worked with Lena Stella, Noah Cyrus, Lauren Haregi, all these different young female artists, and I feel like that made me just really love that aspect of it. And then yeah, I guess in the last 2 years, which is crazy, over this pandemic period, I've had all these songs come out, which have been, you know, really successful. Thank God, like Benny, Super Lonely, and Heartbreak Anthem, Forgetta, and now these BTS songs, Butter, Permission to Dance, and stuff. So it's just been like a really cool time.
Yeah, and I love just like the range of the different artists you're working with. You mentioned Magic Jordan, who,
Yeah.
you know, OVO, if you guys don't know, is Drake's label, or a label owned by Drake. You know, you've worked on Drake's albums, you got Lil Mix, David Guetta, you know, now BTS and Tomorrow Night Together into the mix. There's so much that you've been able to touch just regardless of genre, so I think it's so cool to see that. But I think something really, really cool about your story is that I feel like a lot of people maybe in Korea might have first heard about you from your vocal production work,
Right.
Dynamite, and the BTS remix of Savage Love, both of which went to #1 on the Billboard Hot 100. For those who maybe don't know, can you describe the work you do as a vocal producer and how that worked with those songs even?
Yeah, I mean, vocal production is definitely specific, you know, in terms of how I describe it. I guess specific to me. I mean, vocal production normally is, you know, coaching the artist, you know, how to bring the best qualities in their voice out, and obviously the performance. And then it's all the things after, whether it be editing, tuning, timing, effects, all those things. But for me, obviously it's those things, but what I think I bring to the table that's unique is the, vocal arrangements. I, grew up singing in church and things like that. So especially with groups, so like BTS, I met Little Mix by vocal producing LM5 and like, so to me, I look at vocal production like I look at songwriting, because to me it's like finding those counterpart melodies that are sing-alongable. Like as a kid you grow up listening to music and some of your favorite parts or the things you sing along to are the ad-libs. So to me it's not just about being like, oh, this is just a run because I can sing. It's like very planned out, and it's interesting because it becomes people's like, it becomes part of the song. You know what I mean? Like it's something that's not just like, oh, like you notice it. It's something that people, again, like to sing along to, so yeah.
Yeah, and I gotta give you credit, in particular, I think Butter is one of my favorite vocal performances, like, of the year.
Oh, really? I love that. Let's manifest the Grammy nomination.
Hey, come on, Recording Academy, if you're listening.
Yes!
Come on. I really think, you guys knocked it out of the park with vocals.
Thank you.
So, congrats to you and the guys, of course, for that one. But,
well, that one was interesting because, like for Dynamite, I vocal produced it alone during like the deep, part of the pandemic. But on Butter, I vocal produced it with Stephen Kirk, who was, a co-writer on Butter, and he produced Permission to Dance. And so it was really cool to have like a male partner in that, just because he could like, sing certain parts, and we could send it to the guys at BTS for them to sort of be able to hear it better. Because for me, when I was doing Dynamite, it's like my voice, which totally worked, but when it was a guy, it was really cool too. So just mentioning that part of it.
Amazing. And do you think that those early moments of you as a vocal producer kind of started that trust with big hit music?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I started becoming close to them after Super Lonely came out. They reached out and they wanted to, work with me on TXT in particular, actually. And then, we just developed a good relationship, and then obviously trusted me to do the Dynamite vocal production, and it was, it did what it did, and we all felt really good about it. So then when it came down to Butter, and then obviously Permission to Dance, I feel like now we have such a good relationship and trust there, so yeah, that was definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, and you mentioned a great song, Tomorrow by Together's Magic, another sort of crossover record in that sense of their first original English song. Are there specific requests or aspects that you consider when you're thinking about these sort of bigger pop crossover records?
What do you mean specifically? Like,
I guess I mean, like, are there any things that maybe you have to consider differently for a group that maybe doesn't typically sing in English when you are thinking about whether that's the songwriting, the production, or is it the same whether or not they do sing originally in English or not?
I think it's the same. The thing that I always take into consideration is the band, whoever it is, the artist, the band, whoever you're working with is, I want to make sure that I'm able to bring out whatever unique quality they have, so when it comes down to BTS or TXT, you think about, okay, their vocal tones, like you study the way that they say certain words, things like that, and you want to bring all of the best qualities to light, right? So in any situation, I don't know that it necessarily has to do with the language aspect of it, but I definitely feel like it more has to do with like the tonalities, and bringing out the character and the best like versions of them. So when people hear it, they're like, oh my god, that was so cool how Suga did that, or that was so cool how all that stuff, or oh my god, I love how he sang that. Like, to me, I want that because I think that is like, that's your job, you know what I mean? So
I love that. Are there, I kind of just was thinking about this now, but are there any particular like tones or styles that you really like in either BTS or TXT or any of the members in particular, where you're always like, oh, I love when he does that, or I love this?
Well, okay, I really like Jungkook. His voice and his vibrato is so dope, and so like to me, I love using that. Like there's a lot of takes that I feel like there's something, I'm just I love vibratos. Like to me, a vibrato is such a part where you can really identify a singer. Like, oh my god, the way that they have that vibrato is so unique. To me, Jungkook has that.
I love that. And he's incredible.
He really is incredible. I mean, his voice is insane.
The way, yeah, they call him the golden Matinee, you know.
He really, oh my god, he's so good. I mean, his voice is sick. Like all his runs, and he's just amazing.
Totally. I love that. And you know, I have to ask too. You know, as we go to looking at you as a songwriter as well. You know, you've now written on back-to-back #1s on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. Just overall, you know, how does that feel when you hear those kind of accomplishments?
Oh my god, it's so crazy. It's still like, sometimes you're just like, is this me? Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously it's amazing, and you know, but I'm always the type of person that likes to keep my head like to the ground, I guess, you know what I mean, and just kind of like keep on working and seeing what's next. Because I think that if you get too caught up in that, it can be also not good. You know what I mean? Because there's so much pressure involved, and there's so much like, it can be, to me, can take away from the natural, intuitive like spirit of making music. Because sometimes when people are like, oh my god, number one, and it's too much about the numbers or the success or like whatever's on paper, it takes away from what the music's supposed to be. You know what I mean? So obviously it's amazing. I mean, how could it not be?
Did you hear the Megan Thee Stallion remix?
Oh my god, did I hear it? Are you serious? Like, I'm about to actually get it, so I have a thing with my nails that I always like to like manifest whatever I want to feel for the like 2 weeks on my nails, and so that's what I'm doing. I'm like gonna put like lyrics from the remix on my nails, like Hubba Bubba.
I love that.
Yeah. So good. I mean, she killed it. It was crazy.
She killed it, and she brought something. It wasn't just a verse tacked on, you know.
Oh my god.
Added on. I love when she and Sugar were kind of doing that.
Exactly. Oh my, she is like, I mean, what a great remix. Like, such a good remix.
A really good remix. Okay, I had to ask about that too. But, you know, Butter and Permission to Dance, you know, they were also really notable for, you know, all the cooperation and all the different songwriters that did get involved with it. And I'm assuming during this time you guys aren't, you know, meeting in person. It's probably a lot of things online or virtually. You know, how does that work logistically in this pandemic? And then, you know, what were the problems that you might have encountered, and how did you guys fix them? How does it all work?
Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff that I did over the pandemic, I did a lot of vocal production over Zoom, but for BTS in particular, we actually did a lot of it over WhatsApp.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Video or text messages?
Text messages. So basically, and voice notes. So basically, what we would do, so for Dynamite, I would sing a lot of the parts in, and then I would send it back to them, and then they would sing it, and I would, you know, be a back and forth thing. For Butter, because when I did it with Steven, actually, and Permission to Dance, he would send the voice notes. So he would probably send, you know, I don't know, like 100 voice notes a day.
Really?
And, yeah. And then like we would do it that way. We went through the A&R, a Big Hit, who was wonderful to work with, and she basically went back and forth as our sort of liaison from us to the boys. And so like the one part that was not challenging, because everything was exciting, to be honest, during that period, but I would say like we just wouldn't sleep, because so I don't know if you call that challenging, but it was like we basically had to be up at 4. Well, we would start the day and obviously be working through the day, but then we'd have to be up at 4 a.m. to like 8 a.m. because that was the right time in Seoul to do all the work. So basically they would be like, oh, V has 30 minutes right now, and then we would have to go back and forth with V for 30 minutes to make sure we got all the right parts from him, and then it would be like, okay, RM is going now, and we'd have to say like, okay, you have 30 minutes with RM. You know what I mean? So then that was the process. But it was, I mean, honestly, it worked so well. Like, people always are like, I can't believe you did it that way, but it actually worked out so well.
There you go. So there's a system.
There's a system, but I haven't met them. I mean, we've now done, you know, I've written 2 songs, vocal produced 2 songs, and still have not met them. So I'm so excited to meet them. Hopefully they can come for the Grammys this year.
Right.
I mean, I think they're going to get a ton of nominations.
Hey, come on, let's make it happen. Come on.
I know. Come on, universe.
I know, exactly. And hopefully, you'll get to have that beautiful moment.
Yeah, totally.
I think I want to see it happen for sure. Because I think, you know, too, I personally like really want to know if there have been those like artistic or creative moments that you've witnessed from the guys themselves, or even the teams, or whatever it might be. You know, are those? I feel like those things we don't get to see as much, like in terms of, you know, how are they like behind the scenes, or what are they adding, you know, creatively, artistically as well? Do you have any like fun stories from that?
I mean, because because I didn't get to meet them, it was a little, I mean, I didn't really get to see as much of that, you know what I mean? But I think that, you know, in terms of a team, like between like me and Rob and Steven and Alex and Ron and all of us in the creation, there's a bunch of different stories. I mean, like, I'm trying to think if there was one. We were all sort of like, I mean, it started on Zoom, but then when we went to actually like make the record and all of it sort of came into, all the pieces were connecting, Rob and Alex and Steven all came over here. So we were like in a camp for like a month, kind of just like, and we became like a family. So I don't know, I mean, there was one, there was like April Fool's Day, we like made an April Fool's joke. Me and Steven like pranked Rob and Alex and said that the song is no longer coming out.
That's terrible.
And I know, and it was like so, I mean, we thought it was so funny, but like Rob did not think it was funny, and Alex thought it was hilarious, but it was just like, honestly, it was like a very memorable moment, because I was like, this is hilarious, but it's just like we became so close that we were just, you know, you're like kids like playing with each other. It's like hilarious.
Oh, okay, I love it. I think that's a great April Fool's joke.
That's a good April Fool's joke, right?
A little cruel, but...
I know! Okay, I know, but that's the thing. It was a little cool, but like, how memorable.
Yeah.
You'll never forget. And it came out and it did so well.
It came out, 9 weeks at #1 already, you know, like, I'm feeling like this remix.
Might take it back.
We might take it back, you know.
Oh my god, would that be so cool? I'm like, I don't know how many times we would knock on it, but I'm knocking on it.
We're putting out the right energies.
We are. We're out here.
Exactly. Amazing. So you guys, you haven't had those FaceTime sessions with the guys yet, even?
No. It's all been over WhatsApp.
I'm hoping that that will come soon.
I know, right? I mean, but I'm just hoping to meet them in actual person.
Right.
Again, depending on what happens with the pandemic, but definitely during the Grammys would be such a moment. It'd be so cool.
Perfect. All right, we will keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And knock on wood and everything for it. But, you know, too, I think something I've really liked about, you know, reading up about you and seeing what you've been doing throughout these years is that you've been also vocal about, like, it's tough to gain credit and get paid even, like, as a songwriter, strictly as a songwriter.
Yeah.
And you've done so well kind of about making sure that all aspects of your business have been taken care of. You have your own publishing company. You are an A&R consultant. You're doing vocal production as well. You've made sure that you are part of many aspects of the industry. I guess, what is your advice in making sure to all the people here who might be like industry executives or, you know, be in one part of the industry, how do you enter yourself into many different parts and make sure that you're like kind of taking care of business like that?
I mean, it's really interesting that you ask that, because I mean, a lot of times, especially when I was first starting to like sort of dip my toes into all those things, people would be like, oh my god, you're like, it's almost like people are like, oh, you're in all these different boxes or jack of all trades and stuff, and I'm like, no, because I never listened to that type of thing. I don't think that you have to put yourself in a box, you know. And for me, I just want to do whatever feels right energetically, you know. And I think in terms of the business side, like in monetizing your assets, I think a big part of the vocal production thing for me is a lot of times with the artists that I'd work with, I'd end up vocal producing it anyway, right? To be able to get the song placed. So I was like, oh, well, this is a job. I was like, because, you know, if you're not getting the single, and especially like, you know, as a songwriter, right, you make your money off of radio still and off of sync. So if you're having a song on a major artist, but it just lands on an album where none of those things are apparent, you're not really making money, plus you don't have a piece of the master. So I was like, okay, I vocal produce, I do this anyway, so this is something that I can really do. And in terms of the executive side, I really just love the development thing, and I, again, felt myself doing that anyway, because I get so close to artists.
Yeah, of course.
And then you become best friends with them, and then you're just like, you become a creative partner. So to me, that felt very again, intuitive to be like, okay, this is something that I really feel like I'm good at, because I'm an artist, and I also understand the process so well, so I feel like I really know how to relate to, especially a female artist. So yeah, I feel like I'm particularly good with female artists because I relate to that, obviously, as a female artist. And to me, again, like, it wasn't something I necessarily like wrote down in a book, like, okay, I'm going to do executive production or A&R. It was just something that came naturally. I would think of myself more on an executive producer level than an A&R per se. But again, people love to name stuff. That's the thing, right? So for me, I'm just sort of like, okay, let me just do the job, do a good job, hopefully, and make that speak for itself, you know. But I do think that and like my advice to people, I guess, would be to not be afraid to do those things, right? Like I think for me, it was more about identifying what I felt like I was good at and just going with that. And I think also, like, as cliche as it is to say, it's like following your gut in a way that just is like, okay, if this is working, then don't second guess it. You know what I mean? And I know it's hard to get into these worlds, you know, and it's hard to build relationships and all those things. So I think, you know, now we're lucky to have social media, and I think like obviously reaching out to people is a massive thing, whether on any platform, you know, that's worked for me. I mean, that's how we met, you know, so
I DM'd you.
yeah, or no, you hit me on Twitter. So I'm just saying, like, for me, that works. I mean, not all the time, but it definitely works a lot of the time, or even 50% of the time. But I just think that's, you know, that's a great way to start in terms of being able to make relationships, and then be able to, you know, even if you meet the person and you just, you know, start there, then it can always grow. You maybe meet the next person, and then, you know, start to sort of like really get your feet in the sand. Is that even a saying? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like we could make it one, but do you know what I mean? Like you could really start to like build something just by baby steps. It doesn't have to all happen in one day. That's kind of what I mean.
And I think that kind of speaks to your kind of self-ownership too, and self, you know, awareness in that sense of recognizing that I can do this and I'm good at it, and hey, I can get paid for it too.
Exactly.
And I think that's difficult to do for a lot of people, so I want to give you a lot of credit too. I feel like that's scary to do, and no matter what industry you're in.
I mean, yeah, 100%. I think that it's like, but for me, I never had another option. In my mind, I'm like, this is what I do, this is who I am, like, this is everything that means anything to me, you know? So it's something that, that's another thing, when you don't have a backup plan, and this is the thing that you do, it's just so powerful. Does that make sense?
Of course. Oh, I love that. So yeah, you've been doing so many amazing things, just on the songwriting side, production side, you know, development side, with your podcast, all these great things. But I'm also really curious too, what is coming up for, you know, Jenna Andrews as the artist herself? Any collaborations or exciting things you can tell us or show us?
Well, okay, so I co-executive produced the lead song off the new My Little Pony movie that comes out September 24th. I did that with Ron Fair. So I'm really excited about that. I think the movie's going to be amazing, and funny enough, we have Doll to show. The song's going to be in the new My Little Pony, or no wait, the song, I just said that, but I said the song is literally in the new Doll, which is crazy for me as like a little girl of freaking goals. We love it! Pink. So anyway, isn't that cool? I'm just like so excited about it. And then I have a song, one of the lead songs on the new J-Lo movie with Owen Wilson that comes out, I think it comes out February 14th on Valentine's Day next year. And there's a new artist that I'm developing with Stephen Kirk as well that I did Butter with, this girl Jessie Murph. And she's amazing. She's super amazing. And actually, here, look, this song is it's on TikTok. It's like blowing up on TikTok. It's like 20 million views a day. It's, here, I'll give a little preview of it.
Yes.
But this is the song. Like, it's called Sobriety. It's like so crazy.
And it's like TikTok gold, I can already tell.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're really excited about her, and obviously about the song, and it's just doing so well. And then another one of my best friends, Blue the Tiger, big amazing bass player. I did her next single with Teddy Geiger as well. So really excited. She signed to Capitol. Amazing artist.
Oh, great. Always
so a bunch of stuff. And here's the thing. I can't say too much about it, but I'm definitely going to be focusing on an artist project in the next 6 months. So we'll see. I'll keep you posted.
As in your artist project?
Yeah. Yeah, so, but it may be like a duo thing. I just don't, you know, I'll let you know. I'll keep you posted, but it's going to be really cool. I'm just so excited about that, so.
Okay, UConn will be looking out for sure.
Yes.
And, you know, too, I am, you know, looking beyond, you know, UConn is, you know, bringing a lot of people from Korea, whether they're artists or executives, and I'm curious if you've developed like a little more of an interest in the Korean market or K-pop as well, or if there's any, because you actually do have some background in K-pop beyond just this year even, and and I saw that, I remember looking at your credits, but what else have you been interested in or Have you found anything else of interest?
I mean, I love K-pop. It's so fun to do. I mean, like, yeah, I did, you know, I did Girls' Generation and NCT 127, and you know, it's really interesting. It's just like, you know, I love how their music just makes you feel so good, you know. So of course, I'm continuing to work on a bunch of K-pop stuff now, and I think, you know, it's every sort of artist that you work with gives you a different feeling. And I think working on that stuff is just like, again, it just brings like happiness. That's the healing part, right? So
there we go. Oh, perfect. I love that you said that. I mean, I think that's, yeah, an amazing note to end on, but if there's anything else we need to know or anything else you want to make sure that we talk about at this talk from UConn?
I mean, I think that we're good. I feel like we covered so much ground. I mean, I love talking to you. And I love that we can do this, by the way. This is so great. I mean, listen, I love that we can do it in New York, in my house. Everything about this is great. But I think, yeah, that was a lot of, I think I said a lot. I don't even know what else I could say.
Okay, cool. Well, no, Jenna, really thank you for your time. This has been such an honor and so awesome to talk to you. And yeah, hopefully next year we can maybe do a similar talk with even more successes to your name in Seoul, and everyone will stay safe and healthy in the meantime.
Yay! Okay, well, thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, MUCON.
원격 프로듀싱이라는 새로운 작업 과정에 대한 에피소드, 그리고 또 글로벌 협업 프로듀싱에는 생소하면서도 흥미로운 시스템에 대한 이야기까지 굉장히 재밌게 들었고요. 혹시 관심 있으시면 저도 참여할 의사가 있다는 거 말씀드리면서 다시 한번 감사하다는 말씀드리도록 하겠습니다.